I've told you guys this story before. I'll tell you this story too. When I was a kid, my mom and dad would go to the store together. All right. So let's say we were going to a store. First place we would go when we entered the store was the toy department. All right. My parents would say, okay, pick a toy. So I would look at all the toys. Oh, look at this one. I want this one. So I would hold it and I would just have the toy in the cart with me. I would sit there looking at the toy for an hour, 2 hours. And then at the end of the trip, when they were ready to check out, they said, okay, time to go back. Okay. We'll go back to the toy department. I put the toy back on the shelf and that was it. We would leave. I didn't get the toy. So I knew when I went to that store, I wasn't getting anything. I could look at the toy. I could examine it. I could, read the box. I could think about maybe this is something that I want in the future when it's a special occasion. But I didn't just get it. Okay? Phil's day off. Now, as you know, I don't really have insane amounts of stuff to talk about my days off or anything like that. Errands and the like, again, when we have our day out, we usually have all of our appointments and things are lined up for those days, and this was no exception. Picking up pet supplies and the like while we're out. But particularly, this week was interesting because I had to get my Halloween costume for the upcoming Halloween marathon that will take place right here on DSP Gaming all day long on Tuesday, October 31st. I do this every year. In fact, I think this is the 8th. I want to say this is like the 8th annual year. It could be the 7th, but I think it's the 8th year in a row where I'm actually dressing up for Halloween with a big marathon event. I love doing it annually. It's a super fun event. And this year, because we changed up my formula based on your feedback, there's no goals. There was nothing we had to hit to do it. We're just doing it for fun, which is actually excellent. You want to know why? Because I do feel like in previous years, even though, let's be honest, it supports this channel when we have goals set, like, oh, hit a certain number of members and then we'll do the Halloween marathon, right? Instead of pushing for that and asking for that this year, I'm just going to do the events. Whatever. And I would hope that the support will come. And in general, you guys have supported the channel this year. So I'm not complaining. I think that it's been a good experiment to not have those goals and just do the fun events. And I'm happy to be doing this one. It took the pressure off. We don't have to talk about it every day, right? However, there is a major change in the way that things operated this year. There was no viewer voting on the category of costume for me to wear this year. Okay, that was a change, because previous years, I always made it so that, hey, if we hit a members goal, then, the members would vote on the category of costume. So we didn't do that this year. And when we changed it up, for the better, in my opinion, it actually gave more control to myself and my wife to kind of work out and choose what kind of a Halloween costume I was going to wear. Because previous years, it was always very limited to whatever the category was that people would vote for. And sometimes we would wait till the middle of October for people to vote, and then it's like, now we gotta rush out and in the last week before Halloween try to find a good costume based on the category people voted for, and it could be very annoying. This year, not having that limitation actually made it a lot more fun, if you can believe it. We walked into the Halloween stores. There's 2 of them in my local area. One's called Halloween City and one was called Spirit Halloween. By walking into these stores and not having any limitations, it's kind of like, wow, everything's a possibility in this store. I could be a pop culture icon. I could be something silly from pop culture, or a horror-themed, monster from a great recent horror movie, or, a Universal monster, maybe one of the classic monsters, right? I could be one of these themed characters from different time periods that people love to dress up as. I could be a superhero. I could be a comic book character. I could be a cartoon character. So looking at all these different ones, and by the way, I've done most of those over the years. What do I want to do? I'm not sure. And there's a lot of options. Now, when we walked into Halloween City, I'm going to be honest, we were impressed by the size of the store, but man, we were not impressed by the selection. Like, most of Halloween City, like half of the store was like a lot of decorations for Halloween. Like big giant standees and things to hang around and posters and lighting and things like that. And when we actually got to the sections on the costumes themselves, it wasn't that good. It was kind of generic. They didn't really have any licensed stuff that they had. It wasn't that great. And a lot of the costumes, like I said, were kind of generic and not great looking. So we went in there and we were in there for like maybe 20 minutes looking around. I don't think this is going to be it. It just doesn't seem like this has much. And we confirmed that because when we walked into Spirit Halloween, it was like a whole different echelon of quality. Like, Spirit Halloween seems to have everything now. They have every licensed thing you could want. like every licensed costume is in there. They have every single pop culture show, movie, you know, whether it's horror themed or again, you know, everything you can think of that's a time. Video games, ton of video games, anime. Well, it's hilarious because half the animes in there, I didn't even know what the hell they were. I was like, what the fuck is this? I never heard of this thing before. You know? But, yeah, it's good stuff. I would say they had a pretty darned wide selection. And so as my wife and I were walking through, we had like 3-4 ideas that all were really good ideas. And we were trying to think, well, maybe this would be funny, but would this tie into my streams and my content? You know, how would this work? How would that work? How would I pull this off? You always got to have certain things in mind, like, although this costume may be good, would it work for the stream? Keep in mind, this is a marathon gaming stream, and also I'm going to probably be doing the tier maker during that stream. Plus, I'm eating. Can I wear this costume realistically when all that is going on? There's also other factors as well. Like, for example, could a piece of this costume later tie into my content? Or is this just a one-off kind of a deal that I'll never really do anything with again? I'll give you a perfect example of that. Earlier this year, I bought the Ryu costume for the launch of Street Fighter 6 and the Fight and Feast marathon event that I did. You remember that, right? And the Ryu headband has become a staple that people can vote for when we qualify for a hat on a stream after hitting like a kid's goal. So people like that. You like that there's a leftover that could carry over into other content. So that was another factor as well. Is there a piece of a component of the costume that maybe could actually become something that I would like wear or something for the future? So there's a lot of things to think about. And again, the only reason we had the freedom to think about all those things is because we were determining the costume this year. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think this is going to continue like this moving forward. I honestly feel like it makes more sense to keep this way going because then you guys right now have absolutely positively no idea what the costume is. Here's what I can tell you without spoiling. It does have some ties to stuff that we do on streams together. I'm going to say number one, it's not just like a completely unrelated thing you would never expect. And number two, it is something that I think is going to have some longevity. That's all I'm going to say. And now you can start guessing. But the cool thing is, I think you're really going to like it. Like, no lie, we got this costume, we came home, and we opened it up, and we're looking at it like, wow, this is cool.